Okay, doc. So, good morning, ladies, gentlemen. Once again, it's nice to see you one more time. Well, what are we going to do today? We are going to continue with our talk, for today's lesson, and the topic of the test. So, yesterday we were saying that for this week that ends on the 31st of October, I mean, we have like 4 more days, we are going to present a test, right? And to present this test, we need to study some topics that we can find in the learning guide. So just to remind you that on the proposal for you to complete the test is the 31st of October. However, you are going to have until the 21st of November to complete all the activities, including this test. However, we suggest you to complete all of them according to the schedule, so you don't have to present everything at the end of the course. You don't have to you don't have to rush to present everything, and you don't have to correct anything. By the way, okay. So according to the schedule, then we're going to present the test, and you already know where you can find the test. But just in case, I'm going to share with you the steps to present the test. So we go to Zayuna, and in Zayuna, we click in English Does Work Level 5, and this is our course, right? Here in English Does Work Level 5, we are going to click in Actividades de Aprendizaje Guía. It's already opened. And then we click in Test. Once we click in Test, we're going to be able to present the test. When you finish it, on the left, on the navigation panel, we're going to find a link called Grades. And once we click in there, in Grades, we're going to be able, I'm going to switch the role, give me a second. Oops. Yeah, much better. Once we switch, once we go to the calificaciones or grades link, we're going to be able to see something like this. So if we find an A, that means that we have approved the evidence. It could be the test, it could be the forum or the video presentation or whatever. Or if we find a D, that's going to mean that we have to repeat the activity because it has some mistakes or is not following the learning guide, ¿vale? Okay, okay, this is not important in this specific moment. Well, once we finish the test, we are going to do something else. We're going to check what do we need to know to present the test, obviously. So last time, I mean yesterday, we were talking about the topics we are going to see in the test. The first thing we are going to see in the test is a recap, the topics about simple present tense. So that's why we yesterday we did a recap of why do we use the simple present tense. We said that simple present tense is divided into parts. It's the same thing, but for methodology, we study these two branches in two different moments of time, in two different periods of time. But it's part of the same thing. Everything is part of the present. So on the first situation, in the first moment, we have the management of verb to be, and on the other hand, we have the management of other kind of verbs. We also said that verb to be is used to talk about location, marital status, relationship, physical appearance, and so on. Every single reason why we study verb to be in Spanish are the same reasons why we study verb to be in English. We also mentioned the conjugation. The conjugation is are, and we also said that the organization to create sentences with verb to be is pretty much the same like in Spanish. Yo soy alto, Mariana es inteligente, nosotros somos hermanos, whatever. It's the same organization in English. I am tall, Mariana is intelligent, we are I don't know what to say. I guess it was friends. We are friends and so on. So we are neighbors, somos vecinos, for example. So the same organization we have in Spanish is the same organization we have in English, even for negative sentences and for questions. Additionally, we said, okay, this is the first part of simple present tense, because the second part studies how the simple present tense works with other verbs like create, enjoy, believe, read, study, and so on. And we said that the applicability for simple present tense and the applicability is mainly for talking about permanent situations, and we can divide this concept of permanent situations, and also to predict the future in terms of things that are going to happen in future that we cannot control. Something is going to happen even if we are not there. Additionally, we said that if an activity is performed by a woman, a man, or an animal, let's suppose Daniel, Gabriela, or the dog, or the dolphin, or the ant, or the, I don't know, whatever animal you want to, or the lion, it doesn't matter the animal. If the action is performed by any of these people alone by themselves, the activity, the verb is going to be modified, it's going to be changed. So we said we add s, es, or ies depending on the context. And to create sentences in simple present tense, we are going to need always a person who performs an action. I work, they study, she believes, and so on. We need a person and a verb. So if the activity is performed by a woman, man, or an animal, the activity is modified. However, when we are using, when we are mentioning something that is not true, I mean, we are using negative sentences, or when we are asking for information, then we are going to use an auxiliary verb. And this auxiliary verb is going to be called do or does. We are going to use does for, once again, man, woman, animal, and do for everybody else, right? So this is what we did. We studied last time. And we also mentioned a link that could be useful for you to practice and improve your listening and speaking skills with a web page called a VO Screen. Okay, that's what we did last time. I mean, yesterday, and not only yesterday, because you have already studied this when you were in level 1, level 3, and I guess level 4, I guess. I'm not really sure. At least 1 and 3, because you study that in those two levels of English Does Work level, English Does Work from Zen. Well, so today what are we going to do? We're going to take a glance of adjectives. This is something we have already studied in level 2. So you already know this. However, because the test is going to have questions about adjectives, it's a good idea to take a glance of this again. Okay. So the question here is, what is an adjective? That's an important question, right? That's a very interesting question. Oops, not here, but here. So we use adjectives to describe in level 2, to describe people, animals, ideas, places, and so on. And we focused on level 2 on physical appearance and personality. For example, for physical appearance, that information that we get by looking at a person, because the information it comes mainly from our eyes. We could say that the person is pretty, elegant, handsome, gorgeous, and so on. We could describe the hair, the face, her weight, her height, bodybuilding, eyes, lips, mouth, and so on. This is level 2. We can include colors in our descriptions. So, and we could also describe people in terms of personality. And we said that personality is something that we can notice when we have interactions with people, because it's a personality describes behaviors, right? So how a person behaves in a certain context. For example, a person is tidy, patient, polite, reserved, and so on. And many of these words are similar to Spanish. Many, not all of them, of course not, but many are similar to Spanish. This is level 2. So compassionate, generous, selfish, and so on. We also said, we also know that adjectives are part of something bigger that's called parts of speech. All parts of speech, that we have 9 parts of speech, are used to talk, to communicate in a different language. In this case, because our focus is English, to speak, to talk, to communicate in English. And these parts of speech are, I'm going to take a breath, nouns, pronouns, verbs, articles, adverbs, adjectives, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick glance of this. What is a noun? A noun is a word that replaces an object, a thing, an animal, an idea, a person, a place. So instead of saying something general, I mean, it's those are words that name animals, places, ideas, and so on. For example, cat, dog, uncle, brother, a friend, a couple, a partner, a light bulb, door, a Colombia, Brazil, a park, and so on. So these are nouns, and most of the time nouns can be pluralized. Always no, because sometimes you cannot pluralize nouns because sometimes they are uncountable. For example, water. You cannot say waters, right? It's not possible. You can instead count the measurement or the like for example milliliters, liters, and so on, or the measurement unit, for example bottles or barrels or whatever. So adjectives are those words that describe nouns. For example, how is your cell phone? Okay, your cell phone is new, old, new generation, expensive, cheap, whatever, right? So these are adjectives. Let's do a quick glance of the other things. A pronoun, what is a pronoun? A pronoun replaces a noun. So instead of saying Mariana, Christian, and I, we could say we, for example. What is a verb? A verb is an action. So create, believe, drink, walk, run, and so on. What is an adverb? An adverb is a word that gives us a context. For example, one thing is to say Christian runs. Okay, that's understandable. But if we want to improve this, we could say Christian runs fast, slowly, or a, Christian runs a I don't know, what can I say with run? Outside, right? Up, down, whatever, right? So the adverb gives us a context. This is level 3, by the way, and verbs is level 1, by the way. What is an article? You already know what is an article. So this is level 1 too. We said that with articles, we focus especially in the article the, because the article the, for example, the end, right, is going to tell us, is going to be used when something is unique. There's nothing else similar to that. So we are going to use them in comparative and superlative adjectives. This is what we are going to study today. Prepositions. With prepositions, we make our sentences stronger and more elegant. Like, for example, we have a preposition of place. We have a cat and we have a desk. What's the relationship between a cat and a desk? For example, the cat is under, next to, near, on the desk. This is possible. Conjunctions are similar to prepositions, but conjunctions mix tenses and make our idea stronger, better, and more important, more elegant, allows us to give more information. And for example, instead of saying I like arequipe ice cream. I like strawberry ice cream. I like vanilla ice cream. I don't like chocolate ice cream. We could mix all of them and say I like arequipe, vanilla, strawberry ice creams, but I don't like um, what I said? Ah, yes, chocolate ice cream. So conjunctions, in this case, the conjunction is and but. So a contrast and an addition. And interjections are words that help us to mention these kind of expressions that we mention naturally when something interesting is happening, like is happening. So, for example, wow, oof, mm-hmm, hurrah, yeah. So these are the kind of words that we use with interjections. But let's return because our objective here is the adjective. So adjectives again are words that describe people, animals, places, ideas, and nouns in general. So we already mentioned what are some examples of adjectives. We already know that. So just to remember this, I'm going to share with you some exercises for you to complete at home, not with me. I'm going to mention to you some of them. This is the first example. This is the first exercise. In this exercise, you will have to roll the die first and then answer the questions according to the context. For example, in this case, you will have to choose the correct adjective according to the context. For example, 5 plus 3 equals 8. That's it's not difficult. That's happy, that's heavy, that's easy, that's sad. I don't know, right? So this is the first game for you to learn more vocabulary or at least to remember vocabulary because this is something you already know. I'm going to share it with you here in the chat. First thing. The second exercise I want you to complete at home, not for me, but for you, in order to improve your vocabulary, is this. Once again, find opposite adjectives. For example, cold. Cold, frío, right? What's the opposite of cold? So is it slow? No. Is it tall? Mm-mm. Is it young? Is it weak? Mm-mm. Is it hot? Okay, bingo. So we click in submit and we can find opposite words. So this is the way to improve our vocabulary or at least to remember it. So I'm going to share with you the link once again for you to complete it at home, not to complete it with me because I prefer to do something else with the time we have. And the third exercise, this is for you to complete it with me. So what are we going to do with this exercise? This exercise is similar to those other games I shared with you some minutes ago. You're going to find the opposite adjective of these words. There are only 10 questions. So for example, what's the opposite of big? What's the opposite of long? And so on. So I'm going to share with you the link in quizzes. If you don't have an account, you will have to create an account. But if you already have an account, this is going to be very quick. So I'm going to give you some time to log into the game. And yes, I'll wait for you to play the game. Meanwhile, I'm going to join too. Okay, yeah, you already have Caesar. I'm going to start at 27, ¿vale? 27, 28. So we can take advantage of the scarce time we have. Okay, let's go. Break a leg. All right, this was faster than I thought. That's good. All right, so let's see the accuracy. You got 100% of accuracy and 10% of accuracy. Okay, so let's see the report because it's a good idea to check to give you feedback according to the results, right? Okay, so let's see. What are the opposite? Big, huge. Big and huge are like extreme adjectives. Grande, enorme, right? What's the opposite of big? Grande, pequeño, small, right? Okay, next one. Long, largo. That's why, for example, when you go to the cinema, they ask you, do you got a longer beverage? ¿Quiere una bebida un poco más grande? ¿Cierto? Y the synonym could be large, larger. Sorry, it's not long, larger, larger beverage. Quiero una bebida más grande. So you say, no, I want it short, for example, let's suppose that. Long and short. This is useful, especially with distance, right? A long distance, a short distance. Quiet. For example, there is a movie called A Quiet Place, and there is a game called Silent Hill. These are synonyms. The opposite of quiet is loud, ruidoso. Let's continue. Young, joven, old, viejo. It could be for people and for objects too. But when the objects are extremely old, they are ancient, or especially structures too. Okay, ugly, feo, joven y feo. Yeah, it's possible. The same happens on the same on the other way, on the other hand, right? You can be young and handsome, atractivo o guapo más bien, y joven. Okay, let's continue. Beautiful, the synonym of beautiful, pretty, the opposite is ugly. Remember that in the game we had to choose the opposites. Curly, this is especially for hair. Crespo, straight, liso. Wavy, ondulado. These are three different ways of seeing the hair. Not the only ones, because there are more, but the most important are this. The opposite of good, bad. The opposite of stupid, stupid, clever. Synonym of stupid, dumb, well, dumb. And the opposite of heavy, light, pesado, liviano, no? Because light can also mean the light of the sun, the light of the light bulb, right? Because light can have many meanings according to the context, but in this context is the opposite of heavy, so pesado, liviano. Fat, gordo, and this is correct. Okay. Okay, thank you for the inform dear quizzes, and I won't need you anymore for now. So let's continue. Okay, so we already know the answers. Okay, don't worry, we can learn from our mistakes. It's okay, don't worry. We learn from our mistakes. This is one of the best ways to improve, to learn something with our mistakes. It's okay. Okay, let's continue. We already know what are adjectives, but what can we do with them? Because adjectives can be used to describe people, animals, ideas, and so on. But they do something else, even equally important, perhaps even more important. With adjectives, we can compare animals, ideas, people, places, cities, and so on. In the past, it was normal to compare people with animals. For example, Hercules is as strong as a lion, or I don't know, Hercules is taller or stronger than an elephant, or Achilles is faster than I don't know, is faster than a tiger. Let's suppose than a cheetah or whatever, right? Because in the past, this was very common. We compare our skills. We used to compare our skills with animals, and you can see that, for example, that in the Iliad, the war from Troy. I guess that's the name of the book. In the Iliad, I guess that's the name of the translation in the book. I mean, that's what I mean, because in Spanish is La Iliada. So it's called Iliada because the original name, I mean, in ancient Greek, I guess, I'm not really sure, I don't remember. The city was called Ilion. It's also known as Troy, right? That's why the name is called Ilion. So in the Iliad, Homer compares Athena's eyes with a deer's eyes. So we can compare these kind of things, right? It was very normal in the past, but today compare a person with an animal is like not very common. It's possible, of course, but not very frequent, you know. So we don't do that. Um, Unless that we were poets, that would be interesting, or unless that were living in the world of Disney. So this could be very common, very normal for us to compare animals or objects with people. So it's possible. However, because we are not in that world and we are not poets, as I know, right? Yeah, even though it's possible, we are not going to do it in the class because it's not very common. So we're going to compare person with person, animal with animal, place with place, idea with idea, because this is pretty coherent, right? We can compare animals with objects, but what's the relationship between a gorilla and I don't know, and a mirror? So a gorilla is stronger than a mirror. I mean, does it have any sense? Not a lot, right? Or, for example, a bottle of water is as refreshing as a giraffe. Uh, doesn't have any sense, right? It doesn't. It's not coherent. So that's why we compare person with person, animal with animal, idea with idea, place with place, noun with noun, right? So it's possible to do it once again if we were living in the world of Disney, of course, or if we were poets, of course, but it's not going to be very coherent. Excuse me. So we are going to be able to compare with adjectives. So we can compare one against one or one against a group. If we compare one against one city against another city, one gorilla against another gorilla, um, a Brazilian guy with a North Korean guy, right? We are using comparative adjectives. But if we compare the president of Brazil with the presidents of all Latin America, all presidents in Latin America, we are comparing one against many. So we are going to use superlative adjectives. So comparative adjectives compare one against one, and superlative adjectives compare one against a group. So the grammar in general is this: a person is, or yes, a person is, or a group of students is what? Bigger, smarter, more intelligent, whatever. And we are going to use this word. This is a keyword, than another person, another animal, another idea, whatever. And this then is going to be translated like a que. For example, Marcos es más alto que, right? This is the translation of than, right? We're comparing a one with another one. And with superlative adjectives, I thought somebody right. With superlative adjectives, we're going to use a keyword, and this keyword is going to be the, because let's remember level one. In level one, we said that articles could be a and the, right? So the is going to be used for undefined or important or unique nouns. And we said that we are going to use this article, for something that is limited edition, unique in its type, something that we cannot repeat. For example, the king, the queen, the king now, the king of England. There are many kings in the world, right? In Spain, in the United Kingdom, I guess in what's the name of this? In Scotland, I guess, right? So there are some kings in the world still today, but there is only one king in the United Kingdom, in England. There are no more than one, because the others are prince and princesses. Princess, they are not. They are part of the royalty, but they are not kings, right? So he is unique. There are many presidents in the world, but there is only one president in Brazil, in Colombia, in Panama, in Argentina, whatever. So he's the only one. The president of Colombia, the president of Brazil, the president of Argentina. So it's only one. So because it's only one, it's unique in its type, we are going to use the, right? Because when we are comparing one against another group of people, another group of animals, another group of ideas, this is he or she is going to be unique. For example, in a group of 40 people, there is only one who is the tallest person in the group. I mean, a lot of people is tall in this reunion, let's suppose, this group of 40 people, but Pedro is 1.90 meters tall. So he is the tallest person in the group, because the others are 1.8, 1.87, 1.6, 1.3, as Murph, right? So there are a lot of people, but he is the only one who is the tallest person in the group. So nobody else is taller than him. He beats everybody else with this characteristic, I mean. So this is something that makes him unique. So we are needing a noun, a verb that's comparing, and the superlative adjective. It's like a él, right? O la. Marcos es la persona más alta, o es el más inteligente, or whatever. So this would be the translation of the than and the. So we have comparative adjectives and superlative adjectives. And this is an example we can use with comparative and superlative adjectives. So the word in green is the adjective, the word in blue is the comparative adjective, and the word in gray, is the superlative adjectives. Than is a comparison, and the is mentions that this place, animal, idea, whatever, is unique. For example, let's go with two examples. Marta is pretty. Okay, an adjective, that's normal, good. Marcela is prettier than Marta. So we are comparing two women in terms of beautiness. One is better than the other, right? Pretty, prettier than who? Than somebody else. One against one. And the other example in the superlative way is Catalina is the prettiest girl in the class. There are many beautiful girls in the class, but this gets the prize of the prettiest, right? So she is unique in this context, right? So adjective, comparative, and superlative. Let's go with another example. Abu Simbel in Egypt, I'm pretty sure you know this place. This is very uh, this is a very famous place. This is a building created by Ramses II, right? So I am pretty sure you have seen this in movies, in postcards, in internet, whatever, in series, and so on. So this place is an ancient monument. Okay, it's a building created by humans, and this is very old. Good. Now we have that we are going to compare this place with the pyramids of Egypt. There are more than three pyramids, right? So, but let's suppose the most important one. So the Great Giza Pyramid is more ancient than Abu Simbel. So both of them are old, but one of these was created before, and the pyramid of the Great Pyramid of Giza is older or more ancient, even better, than Abu Simbel. So we are comparing the age between these two structures created by humans. Well, and finally, we are comparing, wait, and in this case we are comparing one against one. That's why we use than. Uno es más antiguo que el otro. And finally, Barren stimulus. This is a complex of a mortuary complex. So this is kind of a cemetery. Something created by humans again is the most ancient monument in the world until now, because maybe in the future, in 1 year, in a month, or whatever, we're going to find something that is even older. But for now, this is the most ancient place in the world, created by humans, I mean. So, this place is the most ancient monument in the world. We are comparing the Parthenon stimulus with not only the structures in Egypt, but also with Chichen Itza, Machu Picchu, Tenochtitlan, Teotihuacan, Nazca, and so on. So this is even older. This is the most ancient place in the world. So I'm comparing this place with everything in the world. In this case, we could compare of places in just Egypt, just in England, just in China, and so on. But the context depends on us. So the question now is, how can we pass from the green word to the blue word, or from the green word to the gray word? How can we create the comparative adjective, and how can we create the superlative adjective? Right? This is the main question now, because we already know how this works. Why is this important? The question is now, we already know why. Now let's go with how. The other question. Okay, so the rules are pretty similar. We have six rules to take into account. The first rule is to know that adjectives have syllables. In fact, all words have syllables, but we are going to focus in adjectives now. And let's remember what is a syllable. A syllable is a way we use in Spanish to know where we should place the accent when we are talking about in Spanish agudas, graves, esdrújulas, right? Because depending on the accent, we're going to know if it's an aguda, grave, esdrújula word. For example, we say, for example, in English or in Spanish, importante. So this is a grave word because it has four syllables and the accent goes in the third syllable, right? So what is a syllable? A syllable is the way we can divide a word in smaller parts, taking into account that each part has a sound of vowel. So it has a vowel in terms of sound in this part, in this fragment. For example, once again in Spanish, coherente. So it has four different places where we have a vowel sound. But we cannot say, for example, ka, ma, right? It's not possible because doesn't have any vowel sound. So it says ka, ma, carta, right? We cannot say carta, right? Because it doesn't have a vowel sound. In English, it's going to happen the same. For example, pen, right? We cannot say pen. It's not possible because the doesn't have a vowel sound. Therefore, we have only one syllable for the pen. Or ba-well, right? The vowel has two syllables. We cannot say ba, g, u, right? Ba, g, e, u, right? It's not possible. It's vowel, right? A bottle, we cannot say ba, t, u, u, right? It's not possible. I mean, it's not coherent. That's why we say that bottle has one syllable, bottle, right? Because it has only one sound of a vowel. Okay, we already know what is a syllable. Why is this important in comparative and superlative adjectives now? Most of the adjectives in English, not all, but most, have one syllable. So if you want to make a thing on one syllable, we can also think that the word is short. I mean, doesn't have a lot of letters. It's a possibility. When we have a word that has one syllable, we are going to add for comparative adjectives R or ER. Most of the time, ER, most of the time. For example, tall, taller. Marcos is tall. Fernando is taller than Marcos. Marcos is tall, Fernando es más alto que Marcos. And for the superlative adjective, we are going to do something similar because we are going to add est. Marcos is tall, Fernando is taller than Marcos, Mariana is the tallest person in the room. Mariana es la persona más alta en el cuarto, for example. Tall, taller, the tallest, right? So we are creating sentences with these adjectives. We add ER for the comparative, we are EST for the superlative. Rule number one. Rule number two. When we have adjectives that end in consonant vowel consonant, F, A, T, for example, or M, O, R, for example, let's suppose that, the last consonant is going to be doubled. There is an exception. The exception is the W, but in general, we double this consonant. For example, before we add ER and EST for comparative and superlative adjective, of course. For example, fat, consonant, vowel, consonant. That's why we double the last T to create the comparative. And to create the superlative, we do something similar. We double the last T, the last consonant, and we add EST. For example, Barney Gumble from The Simpsons is a fat character. Okay. Homer Simpson is fatter than Barney Gumble, right? So we are comparing. And Peter Griffin from a Family Guy, American Dad. Oh yes, I'm Family Guy. Peter Griffin is the fattest character I know. Let's suppose it's correct. Let's suppose. So fat, fatter, the fattest. Okay. For rule, we already made the exception, so this is rule number 3. Rule 4. If the adjective ends in Y, like yes, yellow, this letter, sorry, this letter is going to be modified, it's going to be changed, it's going to be replaced by IER for comparatives, IEST for superlatives. busy, for example, ends in Y, and before the Y there is a consonant. The consonant is S, the consonant could be P, the consonant could be R, M, D, F, whatever, doesn't matter. What matters is that before the Y there is a consonant. Therefore, we're going to switch, modify, change this Y for IER in comparative, IEST in superlative. Busy, for example, the CEO of my company, the company I work from, let's suppose, the CEO of Testmark LLC is a busy person. Okay. The CEO of Amazon is busier than the CEO of Tesla. Okay. And the CEO of Microsoft is the busiest person in the world. CEO, by the way, is Chief Executive Officer, just in case you didn't know the acronym, just in case. So, busy, busier, the busiest, right? We are comparing people that are busy, ocupados. Number 5, if we have an adjective that has 3 syllables or more, and some exceptions with two syllables, sorry, some exceptions, and that's the exception is the exceptions. It's better to remember them or learn them with experience. So sorry. When we have adjectives with 3 syllables and some exceptions with 2 syllables, we are going to do something different. We are going to add a new word instead of modifying the original word. For comparative adjectives, we are going to use the word more, más, less, menos, is possible. And for superlative adjectives, we are going to add the most, right? For example, I'm studying, let's suppose, economics. In fact, this is a kind of a fact, but let's suppose that. So I am studying 3 different subjects, 4, let's suppose. So, in my opinion, macroeconomics is important, it's an important subject. Okay. In my experience, macroeconomics is important. Microeconomics is even more important than macroeconomics. Let's suppose that. But finance is the most important subject I have to study in this semester. Let's suppose that. So important, more important, the most important. We don't say importanter or important test. This is not possible because important has 3 syllables. It's a long word if you prefer to think about this with letters. And finally, last rule, we have some exceptions. And for the exceptions, it's better to learn them with practice. But I'm going to mention them. Good, bueno, better, mejor, the best, el mejor de todos. Bad, malo, worse, peor, the worst, el peor de todos. So I prefer to show you this. Here are some exceptions. Good, better, the best, bad, worse, the worst, little, pequeño, poco, depends on the context, less, the least. For example, Stuart Little, I don't know if you remember the movie of this little mouse. Little, less, the least, much, more, the most. These are the most common exceptions, not the only ones that exist, but the most important. ¿Vale? There are more, but these are the most important. Far, lejos, farther or further, más lejos, and the farthest or the furthest, el más lejos de todos. For example, in Shrek, I guess, I don't really remember, but I think in Shrek, this happens. In a far, far away kingdom. So this kingdom is farther than Lord Farquaad's kingdom, let's suppose. So, and the kingdom of the dragon is the farthest kingdom in the world, let's suppose, from my position, let's suppose. So these are some examples of irregular adjectives. So we have to memorize them. I'm sorry, but there are not many, so this is not very complex to remember. So in the test, we are going to have simple present tense questions and comparative and superlative questions. So just to remember this, I'm going to share with you a game for you to complete it at home. And we're going to play one game and one exercise. I'm going to share this with you for you to complete it at home first. Come on, send. Yeah. What you have to do here is answer according to the reality, according to the facts. So, thinking X. And to be able throw the arrow with your bow, you will have to aim to the balloons that have a question mark. So look, we have questions. Oops. We have question marks here, 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 and so on. But we don't have to shoot those other balloons. So you have to locate the mouse over the arrow and bow, shoot the arrow, and answer the question according to the reality. For example, the green anaconda is the snake. In this case, because of the context, we know that we are using a superlative adjective because we are saying we are using the word the. So this mentions that this animal is unique. We are comparing this snake with many other snakes, and we have many snakes. So we are doing a comparison between one and many. Therefore, we use the superlative adjective. And according to the reality, the anaconda is the most dangerous animal, the largest animal, or the most venomous animal. I don't know. So you have to choose according to the reality. Definitely, it's not the most dangerous, not the most venomous, because there are more venomous animals. So I would say it's the largest. And that's correct. So you will have to complete this exercise. There are 10 balloons for you to complete the exercise. Not with me once again, but at home. And let's continue with the two other exercises. So the idea here is for you to mention the correct answer. So in this case, for example, I'm going to answer the first question. You're going to tell me, for example, the book is then that one. The first and the most important step is to understand, is to know if we are using a comparative adjective or a superlative adjective. Clue number one, we have the word then. If we have the word then, we are using a comparative. Clue number one. Hint number two. In fact, it's not a clue, but it's a hint. Hint number two. One book with another book. So we are comparing one against one, not one against a group. So we are using a comparative. Okay, if we are using a comparative adjective, we must know that a comparative adjective must end with er or needs a word more, but not both at the same time. So this book is interesting. It would be correct if we didn't have any more context, but this book is interesting than that one. No, interestinger is not correct because interesting has 4 syllables, and we know that if it has 3 syllables or more, and some exceptions with 2 syllables, this is not possible. This is not coherent. Therefore, no. More interest? No, because interest is not an adjective. More interesting? Bingo. This is the last one option we have. Okay, so question for you. My son is than my daughter. More taller, more tall, taller, or tall. So you can open the microphone or type your answer in the chat so I will be able to choose the correct option. Okay, I have the answer. Option C, and the answer is taller. Correct. Good. My son is taller than my daughter. Good. Let's go with the next one. This is the cake I have ever had. Best, better, good, well. Option A. We are using a superlative adjective. Perfect. Let's go with the next one. Who is Daniel or Matthew? Busier, busier, more busy, or more busier? Option A. That's absolutely right. Good. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Yep. He is the person I know. Happy, happier, happiest, happiest. Okay, happiest with C, option C, and the answer is correct. Good. Which is the building in the world? Tall, taller, more tall, tallest. Option D. Good. Next question. Jupiter is the planet in our solar system. Bigger, biggest, most big, or most biggest? Okay, biggest. And that's absolutely right. Let's go with next question. Natalie Portman is than her sister. More intelligent, intelligenter, intelligent, more intelligenter. Option A, okay. And that's absolutely right. And let's go with the last question. This watch is than that one. Expensive, expensiver, more expensive, most expensive. Option C. And this is absolutely correct. Congratulations, you did an excellent job. Okay, there are no more questions here. Yes, there are no more questions. Therefore, we can complete the exercise with a quizzes game. And this would be all for today's lesson. Tum, 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 tum. Yeah, here is the link of quizzes. So take your time to log in. And let's go. Break a leg. Okay, doc. So this is the end of the game. Let's see the accuracy. Okay, 92% of accuracy versus 25% of accuracy. Let's see then the difficult questions. Because I know this topic could be a little hard. Could be a little hard, at least more than any other topic. Okay, so in this case, crowded is a word that has two syllables. And when we have a word that has two syllables, we are in a limbo. So there are two possibilities. We could add er or change the word by adding or not changing the word, but adding the word a new word that's more crowded or crowdeder. Both in terms of grammar, both are correct, but it's even more common, it's even more precise, it's even more frequent to say more crowded. It has two syllables, crowded. So we are in a limbo here. So I mentioned before that sometimes these kind of words is better to understand them, it's better to learn them, sorry, with experience. And yes, it's the comparative because we are comparing London and New York. Good. Next one, Mount Everest and Mount Fuji. In this case, we are comparing two mountains, so we are not comparing this mountain with all the mountains in the world. Therefore, we cannot use the superlative. The comparative is higher. Good. Next one, the Mona Lisa and many paintings in the museum. So there are many paintings in the museum, right? And this is one of the best. Therefore, we are using a superlative because we are comparing one against many because we are mentioning paintings, right? There are many objects of interesting characteristics. Because we are using the superlative, the only possibility could be beautifulest or most beautiful. Beautifulest is not possible because it has three syllables. Beautiful. So we don't say beautifulest. Instead, we say most beautiful. Okay, let's continue. Antarctica place on Earth. We are mentioning that Antarctica is a place, it's a cold place. But in this case, we are comparing Antarctica. We are saying that Antarctica is not the only place, the only cold place in the world, because we have Russia, we have a North Pole, South Pole, Canada, Norway, Finland, and so on, many places, Cape Town, and so on. So we are using a superlative, and this is okay. But cold has one syllable. We cannot say cold, right? Because it has one syllable, we say, if we modify the word by adding est, coldest. Next one, tasty. In this case, the word is tasty because it ends in y. This y is changed, modified, replaced by iest for superlative, ier for comparative. So we could say that it could be tastier or tastiest, right? Also because according to the context, we have than, therefore we need to use the comparative. But let's suppose that we don't have the word than. In this case, we're comparing the soup I have here in my hands, the ajiaco, against the other soup in the other table, a consommé. So I am comparing my ajiaco against the other table's consommé, right? So I am comparing one against one. It's a comparative adjective. Tasty, the adjective normal, the normal adjective. Tastier, the comparative form. Okay, strong, strong. We cannot say strong, strong, right? This is an adjective with only one syllable. Therefore, because we have only one syllable, we add er to this adjective. We cannot say more strong. Is a comparative? Yes, but the modification is stronger. Next one. In this case, yes, we add more or the most for the adjective, but let's see. You have seen many movies in your life, right? Many of them have been boring. Like, for example, let's suppose, according to what, spoiler alert, according to what they say in internet, the Joker Part 2 is very boring because it's a musical. So it's not like the movie number one. Therefore, you have seen many movies, many boring movies in your life, I'm pretty sure. But the movie you saw yesterday defeats all the others. Therefore, we are using a superlative because you're comparing this particular movie with all movies, all boring movies you have seen before. Therefore, that you're comparing one against many. That makes us to choose a superlative form. A mouse and a lion. Okay, a mouse and a lion. We are comparing one animal with one animal. So this is a comparative way, a comparative form. Weak, weaker. Next one, a desert and a jungle. One place with another place. In this case, once again, is a comparative because we are comparing one location with one location, not one desert with all the deserts in the world. We are not comparing the Sahara against all the deserts, all the other deserts in the world. Comparative. And the others are 100% correct. Therefore, we don't need to check them. Okay. Oh, okay. Don't worry. That's good because you are learning something new. You are taking advantage now. That's good. I love your meme. Meme, by the way, this is in Spanish is meme, but in English is called meme. So I love your meme. I love it. Okay, that's all for today's lesson, ladies, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. If you have questions, your questions are absolutely welcome. If you have no questions, I will meet you again next week. And also break a leg with your test. Vale. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye, butterflies. And see you later, alligators. Take care then. Thank you for coming.